Teams are really in a different place than they were when they faced off earlier in the year. How do you see the difference in both teams right now?
Well, I think, with Notre Dame, you're talking about the most efficient offensive team in the country. And they've made some changes here and there in terms of personnel. They've had some guys like Burgett, who wasn't playing at all in the beginning of the year. All of a sudden comes out of nowhere in 3 or 4 games, plays really well. Now he's been hurt, so still not sure on his status. But they have one of the premier point guards in the country. Big guys that can score and can really move. That's the difference with their bigs. They're unbelievable in terms of their footwork and their movement. Great offensive rebounds. Any team that gets 20 offensive rebounds against North Carolina and only has 2 turnovers against them in 40 minutes, you talk about offensive efficiency. And then I think you got one of the most underrated players in the country in Vesturi. He can do it all. He can knock down shots, puts the ball on the floor. They play a game without Jackson. He plays the point. He's really good. And they know exactly who they are. They know exactly how to play. They're building and kind of carrying the momentum from the success that they had last year in winning games, and that's been the key to their success this year.
I imagine if there's 2 things you'd like to change from the first game, one would be to shoot the ball better, and the other would maybe better post defense against Zach.
Yeah, and again, it's a little different because the post defense is a little skewed. Because when you say post defense, you think about actually defending the low post.
Yeah.
And he only scored 1 basket or 2 baskets in the post. It was more off on the ball screen action. We have to defend the ball much better. Our transition defense needs to be better. But we were not. We left too many baskets out there. We had too many empty possessions where either we got a good shot and didn't make it, we took a quick or hurried shot out of sorts of our offense. And you can't do that against them. You have to be really disciplined on offense because they're so good on offense. You can have a great defensive effort and they're still going to score. So you got to make sure offensively that you're very, very efficient as well.
Those ball screens and slips, obviously you can't stop everything, but how would you evaluate how you guys played it that night against Notre Dame?
Half the time we played it pretty good. Problem was the other half we didn't. You know what I mean? And there's a consistency that you need in that,
right? Because
that's what they challenge. They challenge your discipline and your consistency and your coverage. You can't have any slippage. And it's not like he hasn't scored a point against anybody else either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you ask how do you stop Adam from making shots.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to make some.
Right.
The thing is, you can't have that take away from other parts of your defense because we were excellent in defending the 3 against them, and they're a very good 3-point shooting team. But you got to be able to do both. You can't, and that's why they figure out where you're struggling and they take advantage of it.
Right.
So the ball screen coverage is something that if you take a look back on your archives, I've probably talked about it all year long because so many teams are running them, and there's so many different ways to guard them, and there's so many different options off those, and it all goes back. You got to have, their ball screen coverage is difficult because they have a guard that can turn the corner on it, split it, shoot behind it, and throw great passes off it. You know what I mean? And so they can get you in every way. So it's you have to be really consistent at it, and it's got to be a 5-man coverage. That's the big thing. It's got to be a 5-man coverage. It just can't be the 2 guys involved with the ball screen.
When you talk about the 5-man coverage, it seems like some of Ben's fouls the last couple of games have been off those plays where maybe he didn't get the help he was supposed to. Is that an accurate statement, or was it?
No, I wouldn't say. I mean, I'm trying to think. He's been in foul trouble. Ben?
Fouled that last game against Florida State.
Yeah, and then that was. I'm trying to think his fouls. He had some block shots on his rotations. It's not because he wasn't getting the help. I don't think. He's our best shot blocker.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's going to go for some some block shots, and then when you go for some blocks, you're gonna get some fouls. That last one wasn't a foul, but so he really didn't foul out in my mind. But you know, he's also got some offensive fouls in the last couple games, a couple illegal screens, I think, against Wake Forest. So I'm just trying to think, you know, and he, you know, it was a tough guard for him the last weekend against Blossom Gaming because he's guarding a guy who can really put the ball on the floor.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we got to keep him out of foul trouble, but I don't think his foul trouble would be someone not helping him.
Okay.
I think it was him being in the help position and maybe being a little late on it or going for a block, and those, you know, when you block a shot like that, to be honest with you, that's going to be a 50-50 call.
Curious, with when August Remember is screening, is it kind of the job of the guy coming with him to kind of have his eyes in the right place and to be aware that he could just, you know, take off for the basket? I mean, I guess he kind of has a fundamental of keep your eye on this and don't lose sight of whatever you're supposed to be doing. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's multiple coverages on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's sometimes where the most important thing is the guy with the ball,
Right.
and then you got to count on the guys behind you. Sometimes the most important thing is guarding that slip
Uh-huh.
off the ball. So again, a lot of it is situational. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you try to gain some tendencies and what they like to do and
Right.
so forth. But again, you know, as I said earlier, you're talking about the most efficient
Right.
offensive team in the country.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you can't just do one thing. You know, our defense has always been predicated on 5 guys cover the ball.
Right.
1 guy on the ball, the other 4 guys help cover it. But you also have to help cover cuts, slips, screens, and different
Right.
things like that.
Yeah. I guess that means everyone paying attention.
Everyone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like you said the other day that sometimes the guy farthest away from the ball has to be the one paying the most attention. I
Yeah,
guess.
that's the hardest thing, and where what Notre Dame gets you, you know, in a lot of teams, because they can stretch you at times at 4 out of the 5 positions,
Right.
because they can shoot the ball so well. You know, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. Do you give up the slip or do you give up a 3?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with all that being said, with 3:20 left in the game, it's a 1 possession game.
Yeah.
We get 2 defensive stops, but we don't come up with 2 defensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Our problem in that game, and our defense wasn't where it needed to be, but we were not efficient enough offensively.
Yeah.
We left too many points on the table. We had too many empty possessions. As I said, either due to us getting a good shot and not making it, which goes to your point, yes, I'd like to shoot the ball better this game, both inside and out. Taking some difficult shots.
Mhm.
I thought in the first half in particular, we took some difficult shots. We were coming off a win against Virginia where we
Right.
shot the ball well, and I think some guys just thought it was just going to carry over. You know what I mean? So we took some early ones that were difficult.
Yeah.
You made a lineup change, tweaked it a little bit
Mhm.
in the last game, inserting Quinton. Did that have to do with Florida State only using 1 forward and the matchups, or is that just something you saw that you felt would work?
Yeah, I just felt that, especially against them, matchup-wise, it was a good matchup because they're big. You know, all the perimeter guys are big and long. I thought we needed help on the glass a little bit. I thought even though they were going to pressure us and come after us a little bit, I thought our game plan in terms of what we wanted to get done, we could do it for an extended period of times without a true point guard out there.
Is that a lineup that would be a good matchup against Notre Dame?
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping. You know what I mean? Hope springs eternal. Yeah, I mean that's but at the same time, I like the change of pace that we played at when Travis was in the game the other day. You know, I thought we got the ball moving and pushed the ball, and so I think that's a good change up within the game to be able to do some different things. So.